All right, on today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, the Avs get back Arturi Lehkonen. The Avs get back Bo Byram. Cale Makar breaks a franchise record for goals for a defenseman, but the story, once again, Nathan MacKinnon, a 5-point night, 4 goals, and a natural hat trick. Dude is unstoppable, Kyle. All that and then some. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
Your Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Make sure you are tuned into our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram and Threads. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us over on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. Make sure you are subscribed to our subtext as well. Link to that is in the show notes below, because when you do, you become a very special insider and chat with Kyle and I one-on-one, and we get all of your opinions going on with the Locked On Avalanche and share them on this very show. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see over in the rundown over there. Yeah, the Avs and Zach Parise, is that real? We'll talk about it. Kyle's rubbing the brows as I say that, so we'll get to that a little bit later. But where we're going to start, obviously, is with this game that just finished up right before we hit record. Avs stick it to the Capitals 6-2. If you listened yesterday, you knew that we felt very confident about this game. Really was kind of unfair to the Capitals. They had a back-to-back on the road. They played the day before in Minnesota, and then you're coming to Colorado. You got to face the Avalanche, who have 3 days rest. Just how the schedule goes sometimes. So it's really kind of, you didn't really think the Caps were really going to be in this thing. And they were not. And that's all because of, well, a lot of things. But we'll start at the top with Nathan MacKinnon. If it wasn't for Kucherov in Tampa, this would be like last year when Connor McDavid had the Hart wrapped up in January, maybe even December last year. But if it wasn't for Nikita Kucherov, Nathan MacKinnon would have the Hart wrapped up right now. And it's a two-headed monster between those guys, and I don't want to get into that right now, but Nathan MacKinnon is the best player in the league right now. And you only have one argument, it's Kucherov, and I don't even think you can really make that argument.
I love how we can have this conversation literally every year about individual accolades that Nathan MacKinnon puts on the ice every year, and he just keeps upping his game. And now it's his second 4-goal game of the year. This time he got a hat trick in a little over 6 minutes. Like, my goodness, like it's like that. You remember that old commercial, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan playing horse?
Yeah.
And they kept upping it and going back and forth.
Yeah.
This is Nathan MacKinnon playing horse against himself. You got 4 goals. Let me see if I can fit a hat trick within a little over 6 minutes. And he's doing it effortlessly. There is no last minute heroics. This is Nathan MacKinnon going out there and deciding, okay, tonight's my game. He sees how the Capitals are playing, and that's exactly what they're just playing into his hands. This is his world, and we're all just living in it right now.
Yeah, I mean, the last day off the Avalanche had, Kucherov goes out. He gets a hat trick. Did he get a hat trick or just a 4-point game?
Yeah, was it a hat trick? It was a hat trick. Yeah,
I know he has a 4-point game. Maybe he got the hat trick too. And he kind of took the lead from MacKinnon, and he just goes out and does this. He goes out and that's a great analogy with the Jordan and Bert. Was that a McDonald's commercial? I think
I believe it was
back in the day. Yeah. The game is just moving slow to him, and he's moving at supersonic speed, and nobody can keep up with him. It's incredible to see. And after the first period, because he's got that home record, that home point streak record going too, right? To start a season. He's scored in every single home game so far this year. That's third ever. You have Gretzky, who did it in 40 games when there was only 40 home games. So he did it every single home game. And then I think ahead of him is Bobby Orr, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you're
I
right.
think it's Bobby Orr. So he's in third right now. And even if it stops the next game, that's insane right there. But after the first period, when they didn't have anything, he didn't have anything. In the back of my mind, I'm like, I just want to see that keep going. Right. I just want to see him that streak continue. So I hope he gets at least something in this game. And then the second period shows up and he's like, gotcha, dude. Don't worry about that. Because yeah, it was, I don't know if it was 6 minutes, but it was less than 10 when he gets a natural hat trick. 3 straight goals by him. Only been done one other time, and that's by Joe Sakic. So again, you run out of things to say for this year with him. He's just been absolutely incredible.
And the most terrifying thing about it all is watching Nathan MacKinnon on the ice, watching him accumulate 3 goals in the blink of an eye,
Mhm.
and then it still looks like he has another gear or 2. And it's just he's not even trying. And it's and like I said, we talk about this every year with his performances, and then you're curious about what he's going to look like in the playoffs and what can he do next year. And it's and continuing the point streak. You're just, what else can he do this year, and how is he not going to win the Hart with performances like this night in and night out?
Yeah, I mean, you said like it looks like it's like he has another gear, and it's almost like he's I don't want. I'm kind of like thinking out loud here, but it's almost like he's purposely not going into that extra gear because he doesn't need to.
I know.
The gear he's got right now is head and shoulders above everybody else. So I'm just going to keep it at that gear. And if things are getting rough and I need to up it even more, I can. That's terrifying, dude. That is absolutely terrifying that he is playing at a level that's already above everybody. And you're right. Like it just looks effortless to him right now. And it just seems like, I don't know if it's a combination of people are just terrified of what he's going to do with the puck. So they're just like playing off of him. Because you can't win no matter what you do. If you press him, he will go right around you. If you give him space, he will dangle and then he can hurt you passing the puck too. He's just a jack of all trades and a master of all trades right now. I've never seen a player play to a level that he is playing at right now. I can't remember when.
And the old saying, a rising tide raises all ships. It's Mikko Rantanen also walks away with a 5.9. 1 goal, 4
Yeah.
assists. That it helps to have somebody so red hot on that top line. Like, honestly, that top line for the Colorado Avalanche right now has to be arguably the best top line in the entire National Hockey League, with the
Mm.
production that you're getting from them night in, night out. It's crazy when you are coming down from a Nathan MacKinnon goal and you're throwing your hats and you're looking around celebrating with your friends. Mikko Rantanen just puts in another one. He's just like, whatever, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, puts in a goal, and you're just like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Mikko, hey, cool. And then right back to Nathan MacKinnon.
Did you see the goal that Miko had? Like
Yep.
it was just popped up in the air, and the hand-eye coordination and the hockey sense and the situational awareness to just bink, knock it right in. This was a game where just everything was on their side, right? Everything, and you kind of expected it, like we said, with the Caps being on a back-to-back, and they capitalized on it. And it's nice to see that they took a team that you knew was going to be struggling a little bit and just ran it down them. You didn't let them hang around. You got up 4-0. Sure, you gave up one, but you get one back. You give up two. Okay, fine. But overall, there's very little to complain about with this game. Let's get into kind of specifics, numbers, stats, specific plays that we liked. We haven't even talked about Terry Lekkinen and Bill Byram returning, which was kind of like the story of this game. We haven't even talked about Cale Makar setting a franchise record. So much in this one game. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Yeah,
All right.
welcome to your typical post-game
Uh,
Locked On Avalanche, where not enough time to talk about
no,
literally every performance.
no. So we'll try. All right. Let's take our first break and we'll come back with more of this 6-2 win from the Avalanche over the Capitals. First, let's hear from FanDuel. The NFL regular season has wrapped up. But there is still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And I'm sure there's going to be lots of money getting slung around this weekend. Who are you liking, sir, for these championship games? Who do you want in the Super Bowl?
I want the Lions, and I'm hard pressed to pick a favorite in the AFC right now.
It's tough. Well, for me, it's not that tough. I cannot root for Kansas City at all. But I think, God, what 80% of the country's got to be on the side of the Lions right now.
Yep.
If you're not a 49er fan, how are you not rooting for Detroit? So let's see what they can do. You can get into some of that betting action over on FanDuel. Use the app. It's super easy to use. Many different ways to bet. You can use the live same game parlay. You can find bets in the new Explore tab. Make parlays in the Parlay Hub. It's the best way to find popular parlays and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. That's FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right, let's get into, let's start with the record, right? Because Cale Makar, the goal that he scored, a shorthanded goal, no less, which was his first shorthanded goal of his career. And up until that point, it was, as we're getting their legs back. They hadn't played in 3 days. So the first half of the first period was a little bit slow, kind of a little bit sloppy. And then Cale Makar just, finds some open ice and rips home a wrist shot for the Avs goal. And in the process breaks a record. So he has now, I think it was Tyson Barrie that he broke the record for most goals by defenseman in franchise history. And to do it at this age, and to do it at, it's 200 less games than Tyson Barrie played. When this is all said and done, if he plays his entire career with the Avalanche, and God, let's hope that happens, he is going to set for the Avalanche Wayne Gretzky-like numbers.
Yep.
That will never be caught. And you're watching it right now. He's already got the record. We went on about Nathan MacKinnon, and there's really not much to say. Try to do it with Cale Makar. Go ahead.
And that's the funny thing about Cale Makar. He's like Nathan MacKinnon when it comes to his career, where you're constantly watching Nathan MacKinnon ascend. It always feels like 2 years ago, Cale Makar debuted against Calgary. It always feels like it was just 2 years ago. He's been on this team. This is like his third go round. But it's not. He's been here a while. And guess what? He's going to be here a whole lot longer. And if he keeps up just this pace, if he takes a night off, it doesn't matter. He's playing with house money. And there's not enough that you could say about Cale Makar and what he does and what he can bring. And when he's on his game, we talked about him not having those, oh my God, Cale Makar moments. You got your Cale Makar moment in that.
Oh, yeah.
All hail Cale shorthand goal, which honestly, you were right. They started off very rusty, and they were scraping the eye boogers out of their eyes, and they looked like they took a 3-day nap. My goodness.
Yeah.
But Cale Makar got him going.
Yeah. No, I mean, they once they got that goal in, and they started getting back to their game, you could tell this was just teams at two different spots right now. And the Avs were just really doing whatever they wanted to do. The top line was doing literally whatever it wanted to do. You had the Roaring 20s line, which was again really good. The depth did what it needed to do. I didn't think they were spectacular, but they didn't let up anything. So, and then on the defensive end, Jack Johnson did not play. But I don't think it was because he was a healthy scratch. I heard that he was not feeling well. Maybe that was, I don't know, just thrown out there.
He slept too long. He's 91 years old.
So you had Malinsky paired up with Byram, who came back for the first time in a couple weeks. And then you had Arturi Lehkonen on that third line. Lecky almost had a couple goals, but there was some really good saves by the Capitals that prevented that from happening. So it was just good to see those two guys back out on the ice. They got the first game under their belt. interested to see tomorrow, just if there's an update that, they got their first game in and they still feel fine. I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah, and you mentioned the saves from Lindgren. It was a nice start for him, and then it fell apart. I'll go ahead and say it now. Everybody save this clip for the rest of your life. Alexander Georgiev finishes the game with a .920 save percentage.
Stop the presses.
In January.
Wow.
Now, it's
yeah,
other than
he
the
was
Vegas
good.
Yeah, he was. Those 2 goals, it's the understandable roll your eyes. Come on, you could have had your shutout, whatever. But honestly, he had a good game. Did some really good things. And have you looked at those numbers of the power play?
Let's bring up some of those numbers. So power play.
It's another sore subject. We were talking about the penalty kill needs to clean it up a little bit, and the power play needs to step it up a little bit.
Yeah,
Can't do much better than on that penalty kill, my friend.
2 for 4 for the Avs. 0 for 5 for Capitals. Now, if I'm nitpicking here, you don't want to give up 5 penalties.
They also lost to Montreal not too long ago. So
yeah, but that's nice to see. Yeah. So yeah, you get the power play, your power play going 2 for 4, which has been pretty good as of late, and then 0 for 5 for them. Face off, she won that 54, almost 55% to 45%. Shots on goal 31 to 25 for the Avs. Everything just leans Avs in this one. Stats. I mean, the obviously the stuff that jumps out is Cale Makar 3 points, Mikko Rantanen and Nathan MacKinnon 5 points each. 13 points for those 3 guys. When that's happening, you just shrug your shoulders. You can't beat that, and you can't expect that every time. I'm not saying like that's what the Avs have to rely on. I'm not saying like those 3 guys have to go out and score 13 points every time for the Avalanche to win. I'm just saying when they are locked in like that and they're just throwing darts, they're not going to lose. It's just crazy to see.
It's a wonderful show of support for that top line for Valerian Nichushkin, who's taking care of himself, for that top line to register 13 points. I think that is a bonding. I mean, to put up 13 points for Nuke, I mean, you can't ask for more. But no, it's one of those that we talk about this team notoriously playing down to their opponents and losing those games they shouldn't. When this team is healthy and doing what they're supposed to, and even like you mentioned, lines 3 and 4 not really doing much, when they're performing just middle to superior, there's not a team in this league that can beat the Colorado Avalanche.
No, when your guys that are getting paid to do that are humming, you good luck. Good luck. And then on the one thing I want to throw on the Capital side, I know Ovechkin's having a rough year this year, but that doesn't mean you just ignore him. I mean, the guy will go down as one of the greatest ever to play the game, and he's having a rough go of it this year. And the Avs just didn't say, okay, well, then we'd have to ignore him. He didn't have a shot on goal. A single shot on goal. He got an assist on one of their 2 goals, but he was a -2 and did not have a single shot on goal. And when they have 5 power plays, and he is known for what he is the Nathan MacKinnon, or I should say Nathan MacKinnon is the Alexander Ovechkin, because like Ovechkin, that's he sits in the same spot that MacKinnon sits in on the power play, and he just rips slap shot after slap shot after slap shot. He's done it his entire career. And when you give them 5 chances at that and you don't give him a single shot in the game, that's impressive, if you ask me.
Yeah, honestly, for Ovechkin, it's one of those that we've been having this discussion every decade, that it's always Sid and Ovi, and Sid's having an incredible year, and then you look at Ovi and he's not having a great year. And it's only when you forget that Ovechkin is playing in this game, that tells you all you need to know.
Good point.
Like
Good
there were
point.
so many times that they mentioned Ovechkin. I was like, oh yeah, it's this Capitals team. Ovechkin is healthy. He's out there somewhere. I don't know where he is,
Mm-hmm.
but it's noticeable, and that speaks a lot to the momentum the Avalanche had in this game.
Very much so. All right, let's get a last break in, and we got a couple messages from our subtext people that are still up, and then we'll talk about this Zach Parise thing, as well as our Kyle's shaking his head, as well as our sound check. So we'll get to all that coming up next. Right now, we are going to hear from Indeed. We're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. And if you need to hire, you need Indeed, because Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree that Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to recent Indeed surveys. So make sure you are joined in with more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of Locked On Avalanche can get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support Locked On Avalanche by saying you heard about Indeed on our very podcast. That's Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. If you need to hire, then you need Indeed. All right, let's hear from a couple subtext comments here, and then we'll move on to the Zach Parise stuff. So, Vargar, the power play was like clockwork tonight. MacKinnon didn't miss a beat and looked sharp. Nice to see the Avs dominate and not play down to a lesser opponent. Mac and Ovi impressions in front of Ovi, doing an Ovi impression in front of Ovi was pretty funny. I must have missed. Was that something specific, or was he just saying like just scoring goals? Is that the impression he's saying?
If I'm not mistaken, I believe the hat trick goal was in Ovechkin's office in the dot.
No, the hat trick goal was the breakout. It was a
It must have been goal
2-on-1.
number 2.
Well, the first 2 goals were power play goals. So that's maybe what he's talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot set up in Ovechkin's office, and that is where I would remember Ovechkin is in this game, because I was like, oh, that's in Ovi's office. Oh yeah, this is the Capitals.
Those 2 power play goals, the way in that period, if you're watching on television, the Avs were on the right-hand side, right? They're going left to right. So when they're setting that up, MacKinnon is on the far side. And the way the camera angle is, you can see those lanes created that Makar threw to him the one time, and Rantanen threw to him the first time. And it's just like you see it opening up, and then it's just like throw that pass, and that's easier said than done. And that's how talented these guys are. You got an assist from Rantanen on the first one, which is just a beautiful pass right in that seam. And then MacKinnon, that was a gorgeous play. A little like pitch and catch between Makar and Rantanen. Makar kind of circles around, and that just opens up a lane, and he fires it diagonal, and MacKinnon does the rest. It was gorgeous. Gorgeous to see. Madam Battleaxe, she goes, I wonder who the first star of tonight is. And I think we all know who that was. Wow. What's that? Oh, Freddie?
Olofsson. Yeah, Olofsson or Kiviranta.
Or why not McDermott? He got Tom Wilson knocked on his butt. I like that.
That's true.
She goes, I just have no words on how that line just let it rip and did the running man all over the Capitals. MacKinnon is not human. He has to be a cyborg. Apparently, it's called the Hulk, and he's done it twice. If we can continue this and keep growing, they will be unstoppable. The whole team, right down to Georgiev, was fire. Let's bring it on Friday. So, yeah, no disagreeing there.
Chickpea pasta for everybody.
And then Amy said, Amy referenced the interview that was on 32 Thoughts that MacKinnon did with Elliot Friedman. She said, there's no way to really know, but listening to that Elliot Friedman interview, I was struck by how content Nate seemed. The intensity is still there, but he also seemed happier and like he understands himself well. It's clear that he is evolving. The connection between mental health and performance is very real. If you haven't listened to that, go listen to it. It was from an episode last week, and it's at the very end of the podcast. It's like an hour and a half long podcast. So if you want to fast forward to the end of it, it's like in the last 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Really good interview. I mean, Elliot Friedman is the best around. Yep. So the interview he does with Nate is great, and the fire is still there. That's never going to go away for him. But I think winning that cup kind of just put it in a different perspective for him now, saying like, okay, I got one. Now maybe I can do this a little bit differently. Maybe I don't need to be the, chickpea pasta guy. Or if a puck is a centimeter off in practice, like Nikita Zadorov claimed he'd go off on people for that. But you see a little bit more like docile. You know what he's like? Bill Romanowski. Remember Bill Romanowski? Off the field, Romanowski would do interviews and he was the most quiet, calm, soft-spoken guy. And then on the field, he was going to rip your bloody head off.
Yep.
That is Nathan MacKinnon. He's Bill Romanowski of the NHL.
Put that in print. That is a perfect comparison.
Just, I don't know why I never thought of that before. It just, for some reason, just came to me. So, all right, let's get over to the Zach Parise stuff quickly. It's a rumor right now that after the All-Star break, the Avalanche are interested in bringing in Zach Parise. And who was it that said this? It was from
I believe it was Russo Hockey.
It was a Minnesota Wild hockey podcast, and he's got a lot of followers. And I'm not saying I don't want to discredit things that he says, and maybe he heard this from somewhere and he's just talking about it on his show. But Avalanche outlets are running with this thing, and of like it being a real possibility. I just don't know why they would do this. I don't know. I don't see any benefit to bringing in Zach Parise right now. Maybe that's just me.
If this happens, it will be one of the dumber things this team has done.
Why do you think that?
Why? Give me, please. No, and I want you to tell me right now. I don't want you to tell me what he's done last year before, in his glory days, right now. After everything we talked about. Well, we talked about the former Avs that we could bring back. We said some that were joking. And that still makes more sense than bringing back Parise, who's been playing video games and eating pizza and then decides, just let somebody know, I'm signing with the Avalanche. Come on. I'm sick to death of every free agent and big name that comes up automatically being tied to the Avalanche. Did we not just watch this incredible game against the Capitals? You see what this team could do completely healthy. What in the world are we going to do? Is he going to be a goalie? Is he going to play on defense? Because that's where we need to start addressing and working up, having a backup goalie, maybe one more good quality middle defenseman.
Yeah.
Zach Parise? Are we that bored?
The one thing that you said is kind of the main reason why, like, I just don't feel like the Avalanche are doing this. And that's like, what's he been doing? He's been home playing video games.
Yeah.
I just find it hard to believe the Avalanche want to go get a 38, 39-year-old veteran who has not played, pluck him out of his house and say, hey, come be on one of the top 5 teams in the NHL. When he has had no training, doesn't know how this team plays, has to get into the flow of that. Makes no sense to me whatsoever to bring in a guy like that at this stage in the game. 10 years ago, go get Zach Parise. Right now, this is not an Avalanche move. It's not.
When
You're not go getting a guy that's this age who hasn't played a second in how long? It wouldn't make any sense to me.
you know who else hasn't played? Phil Kessel.
Yeah.
Why are we not going after Phil Kessel? If,
Because he plays zero defense, and he's not very fast, and he just doesn't fit the system. He never has.
both Parise and Kessel have the same amount of goals, same amount of points, same amount of on ice time.
Yeah.
Between the two, I would rather take Kessel, but neither option is exactly what the Colorado Avalanche need. So please move on, but not to another name. Please just find something else. Let's talk about records and stuff that's actually going on. I don't need another free agent, please.
I mean, if Parise was playing somewhere this year, and wherever he was playing was just looking to move him, depending on how he was playing, then you look into that. But it just makes zero sense to me to bring in a guy and expect him to produce and give you something in that bottom six role for where he is in his career. I don't get it. I was a little bit surprised at how much Avs outlets were running with it, thinking like, not saying that they were saying it was a good idea, just reporting that, hey, this was talked about. I just feel like it was some guy threw this out there into the ether and people picked up on it, and maybe it was a slow news day and they just wanted to run with it. I don't know.
We want Zach Parise, but we have Zach Parise at home. No, we don't. We sent him to Seattle. His name is Tomas Tatar.
It's kind of like that, right? Right. So, I mean, I'll just end it with this. Anything is possible. Would I do it? Not in a million years. So we'll see where this goes. All right. Last bit of business we got to get to. That, of course, is our Locked On Avalanche sound check. Kyle and I pick a song that we feel best describes the most recent game. These songs go up on a playlist over on Spotify. All you got to do is search for Locked On Avalanche soundcheck, or excuse me, LOA soundcheck. Volume number 3. What do you have for this one? Caps and Avalanche.
Ring ding dong. Ring a ding 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 dong.
I love it.
Keep their heads ringing, Dr. Dre.
Such an anthem.
Man. And
I'm glad that you picked this because I really haven't listened to this song in a long time. So I'm kind of excited to bump this one in the morning. Yeah.
That's the perks of having me on here, bro. We're going to either have Grateful Dead, boy bands, or we're going to have gangster rap.
Or Wu-Tang.
And that's how we're going. Or Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
But I mean, that second period, go back, watch the highlights, listen to this song in the background with the television muted. It fits. It was the whole vibe of that second period.
Yeah. It's a good one. That's a good one. I'm going to go with, I believe I put this on volume 1. I don't remember the specific game, but it must have been when, the Avs went off like this. And now in particular, Mikko Rantanen, Cale Makar, and of course, Nathan MacKinnon, when they just do what they did against the Capitals. So the song I'm going with is probably my favorite band ever. It's Audio Slave. And the song is Exploder. It was just an explosion from everybody, especially those three guys. So yeah, that's an easy pick for me. Got a lot.
I love that.
Cannot go wrong with it. Cannot go wrong with it. So check those songs out in the rest of the playlist. So yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for today. We'll be back tomorrow. And the Avs have a Friday game against a reeling Los Angeles Kings team. So another game where just, hey, don't take that lightly. We'll discuss all of that and then some tomorrow. We'll probably still be talking about this Nathan MacKinnon stuff tomorrow. So
oh yeah, we got leftovers.
Absolutely. All right. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. Thank you for making Locked On Avalanche your first listen of the day, and we will see everybody tomorrow. And I think Nathan MacKinnon just scored again.
Oh.